From the dawn of time, when we first opened our eyes to the night sky, a single haunting question has echoed through our history. It is the eternal conflict between two opposing worlds, the cold world of measured numbers and the deep felt world of the human spirit. Between hard science and ancient mysticism, which force is truly stronger? Who holds the golden key to the ultimate truth of our existence? To find the answer, we must first bow our heads and admit a humble truth. Science did not arrive as a conqueror to destroy magic. In reality, science was born from the very cradle of magic itself. The great sun above was once believed to be a blazing chariot of the gods. We wove these great myths not because we were foolish, but because the human mind has always feared the vast, empty silence of the unknown. We desperately needed explanations to fill the void, to find comfort against the titanic forces of nature that shaped our fragile minds. But the flow of history is the story of that boundary moving, where mystical explanations slowly gave way to precise mechanical laws. The mystic looked into the dark abyss and saw spirits weeping. The scientist looked into the same abyss and found mathematical patterns. But ironically, as we look deeper into the machine of reality, things become far stranger and more elusive than we ever dared to imagine. We look through the veil of matter, past the atoms, into the vibrating lattice of life, where solidity seems to dissolve into nothingness. Deeper still into the chaotic quantum foam, the universe no longer looks like a cold, lifeless machine assembled from gears. It begins to look like a great thought, a vast neural network spanning the infinite darkness, where everything is connected by consciousness. Join me on this journey. We will trace the footprints of curiosity from the ancient mud of the Nile to the event horizon of a black hole. Let us turn back the clock to the cradle of civilization, ancient Egypt, where the sacred Nile River was the heartbeat of all life. They did not track the movement of the stars for romantic poetry. They tracked the rising of Sirius for the sheer survival of their people. They realized a law. When that star appeared on the horizon, the Nile would flood. It was not the magic of gods, it was a correlation of nature. And that was the birth of the first calendar, a tool seemingly boring, yet the most revolutionary scientific instrument in human history at the time. That calendar allowed us to predict the future, and in an ancient world of uncertainty, the ability to predict was a power reserved for the gods. They carved the flow of time into hard stone, turning the chaos of the seasons into rhythms that could be foreseen and controlled. Knowledge became a shield. If you could know when the storm was coming, you held the power to survive its devastation. Then the torch of knowledge passed to Greece. A group of bold thinkers dared to imagine a universe operating without the whims of gods. Thales stood tall on the cliffs, pointing at the sea, declaring, "This is not Zeus in anger. This is water. This is matter." They replaced the puppet show pulled by divine strings with the fluid, logical simulation of unchanging natural laws. Archimedes sat in his bath and realized the physical world obeys ironclad laws that even the most powerful kings cannot alter. Logic became our new religion. We believed that if we found enough scattered puzzle pieces, we would see the entire picture of creation. And so, with fierce belief, we placed the final piece into the void, lighting up the darkness with the brilliant lamp of human reason. Fast forward to the 17th century, modern cities rose from the dust, and with them came the rise of the arrogant Clockwork Universe. Isaac Newton appeared like a god, a giant standing on the shoulders of giants, casting a shadow over all of human science. With a single quill and paper, he wrote the equation that tamed the sky. Force equals mass times acceleration, a simple yet profound truth. He proved to the world that the apple falling from the tree obeys the exact same physical laws as the moon sailing overhead. The universe was no longer a chaotic mystery. It revealed itself as a grand machine, precise, smooth, and completely predictable. The planets moved on invisible rails through space, locked in a dance calculated to the second, lasting for all eternity. We believed if we knew the position of every particle, we could predict the entire future. Humanity felt invincible. Then came the era of the energy masters. Benjamin Franklin risked his life to tame lightning, stealing fire from the heavens like a modern Prometheus. Faraday, in his dim lab, showed that electricity and magnetism were not dark magic, but physical forces we could control. Together they wove the invisible waves of electromagnetic fields and light, forces that silently permeate and connect the entire vast universe. By the late 19th century, physicists grew supremely arrogant. They declared the book of science was finished, with nothing new left to discover. But they ignored the tiny cracks spreading in the foundation. Their theories were beautiful and perfect, but the naked reality was not. Newton could explain how gravity moved the planets, but he was completely blind to what the actual nature of gravity was. He left that question to the hand of God, accepting a supernatural ghost hiding inside his perfect mechanical machine. And then light refused to follow the rules. It glitched, acting strangely, defying every rule that classical physics had set down. In the shadows of the early 20th century, an unknown patent clerk was preparing to pull the loose thread that would unravel reality. He asked a simple but insane question. If I ride a beam of light and chase it, what happens to time itself? His answer destroyed the Clockwork Universe. Time is not a straight line. It can melt, twist, and stretch like rubber. Space is not an empty, passive stage. It is a flexible fabric that bends under the massive weight of celestial bodies. Gravity is not a force pulling you down. It is the earth bending the space around you, creating an invisible well. You are not being pulled. You are simply sliding freely into that curve. We are prisoners of geometry, not of a mysterious force. The now is just an illusion. The speed at which you move dictates your age. Time is relative, never absolute. A second for you is not a second for the universe. The clock ticks different rhythms for everyone, depending on their speed. Einstein gave us a universe of flowing geometric beauty, replacing the rigid, cold, mechanical box of the past. But even he, the great revolutionary, clung to a classical belief that the universe is deterministic, that God does not play dice. But the dice had already begun to roll. The universe is cold and indifferent to how Einstein wanted it to work. His dream of perfect geometry was about to shatter into a million chaotic shards of glass, opening a new era of uncertainty.
While Einstein gazed at the distant stars, we zoomed our microscopes into the eye of a needle, deep into the world of the atom. Welcome to the quantum realm, a nightmare of logic where the impossible becomes the standard operation of nature. Here, a particle can vibrate wildly and split, existing in two completely different locations at the exact same moment. Information can travel instantly across a galaxy, a spooky action at a distance that mocks the speed of light. Light behaves like a wave, rippling softly through space until the moment we try to measure its position. The moment we look, it freezes. The wave of probability collapses instantly into a solid, defined particle. The act of knowing changes the act of known. The universe seems to shift and change its shape the moment you open your eyes. The ancient mystery